I'm going to tell you exactly why I got this Jerry the King Lawler Elite figure over some of the earlier releases they've already made of him. This is from a little Survivor Series Build-A-Figure set, supposedly from Survivor Series of 1996, as it says on the back of the packaging. But we'll open it up here, take a closer look at it, see why I really got it. Because 1996 is a little bit early for my collection. 1999 British Bulldog would not be. That's a Build-A-Figure. We got the torso piece here only. Unfortunately, we can look at the back. It's a lot of modern wrestlers we would need to buy to get the pieces. So would like to finish that one. Right now, doesn't look possible for me. Got the wrestling elbow pads separate for him in the packaging. Fist hands for that big punch Lawler is famous for. We got the crown that has a little plastic bubble in there. I feel like I can do some crazy things with this. I'm gonna save this little piece. But a fully colored crown, that's pretty nice there. Of course, we have the facial printing, so the likeness is really good. Kind of plain expression there, but got the chest hair and then his jacket here. And the old classic black and red ring gear with the crown logos for the king. But of course the reason I really got this, because yes, it says 1996 Lawler from his match at the Survivor Series. But if you look at a lot of pictures from him announcing in later years, you know, 1998 and 1999, he's wearing the same jacket, crown, and he sits and wears his wrestling gear when he does the announcing for the TV shows like Monday Night Raw. So it's an attire we'd see later in the Attitude Era, just as him as an announcer only, instead of the occasionally jumping in the ring like he would do in the earlier 90s. And as always, he was in those Nintendo 64 wrestling games, WrestleMania 2000 and WF No Mercy as a playable character. So always a big bonus there if I can get an action figure of somebody that was in those old games I played all the time when I was watching wrestling on TV. That'll be the reason I got this one, so I'll probably be keeping him in his jacket, which is a softer plastic than previous jackets like this. But it's not one you're going to be able to pose the arms, it's keeping them locked down, because it is a formed jacket instead of cloth. But it is a little easier to peel off with this little softer plastic. Pretty interesting there. Just has two little nubs here to close in the front. We just have his ring gear, the kind of one shoulder, and that's why he comes with the elbow pads that he'd actually put on to kind of finish his wrestling appearance. So of course it would be nice to have like a JR, Jim Ross, to go with it. Might have to do some kind of modifying of an AEW figure, but there's always a chance we could get kind of an Attitude Era Mattel Jim Ross with some kind of deal in the future. I would never rush to complete or do anything with your collection because there's always different things changing in the future. A lot of times you kind of just rush out and get something to substitute when eventually something might come along. You know, they can't release every wrestler and character all at once. You kind of get a gradual release as things are coming out. So good to have just Jerry Lawler here at first. In the ring gear, we have, you know, the updated elbow, so we are getting into just newer figures here more. But he's not going to get to articulate a whole lot if you have that jacket on, which again he'd always wear announcing in the Attitude Era, but he was wearing his ring gear typically underneath. You'd see him sitting there in tights. So usually I like just ring gear, but I'm kind of focusing on maybe his non-wrestling career more with this figure just as the announcer. So maybe sometime we can get like a little headset or something from Mattel too. But a solid addition to an Attitude Era collection there. That's what I focus on, is that kind of time period. Pretty short-lived when you really look at it. So it's a nice little time period to focus on, plus WCW on the other channel as well. I open all my figures from that time period that I collect for this wrestling collection of that late 90s extra hot period in wrestling. So if that's kind of the figures you want to see, I'll see you in the next video, or I'll give you a pile driver. It'd be really cool to have a cat figure too. What the?